Coming up on Newsource at 5. We talked to a political analyst about key pieces of legislation that got passed by the Georgia State Assembly this week, including a mental health bill, which will have a huge impact for many Georgians.
Having had a brother who's no longer with us, who we lost to his addictions, I can tell you it's a battle.
Also, learn how a student-ran farmers market fights food insecurity in Athens. And buckle up your seatbelts as we go on a ride-along with Barrow County Sheriff's Department. All that and more ahead.
Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College at the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
Good evening, I'm Brianna Smith, and this is Grady Newsource at 5. The Georgia General Assembly approved major bills this week, including legislation about tax cuts, masking in schools, and mental health. Grady Newsource reporter Hallie Turner has been following the session and joins us now live from the studio. Hallie, I understand spoke with felt very passionately about one piece of legislation. Can you tell us about it?
Brianna, of course. I spoke with political analyst Bill Crane earlier today about the mental health bill that was passed and signed into law by Governor Brian Kemp. While we were speaking about the mental health bill, Mr. Crane shared a personal moment.
This bus stop sits 10 minutes from the campus of the University of Georgia. For UGA students like Grace and Moore, who
from this, I'm sorry, we're having some technical difficulties, but Brianna, aside from this bill is going to help people of all ages. And Mr. Crane also told me that there's been some additional discussion that the funding will create a regional addiction recovery center that Georgia does not have.
Legislation that were passed as well.
Yes, of course. Brianna, legislators did approve a budget bill of $30.2 billion, which will include a $2,000 pay raise for every educator and a one-time performance bonus for every state employee that was affected by the pandemic. Legislators also passed the constitutional carry bill, which will allow gun owners in the state of Georgia to carry without a permit. But a background check is required for every 5 years.
What did Mr. Crane say about the outcome of the session overall?
He was pleased with the outcome given the short amount of time legislators were on due to the upcoming primary elections in just 4 weeks. As for the next session, residents in Georgia should be on the lookout to revisit the abortion bills, medical marijuana, and the roles of families in public education.
Thank you, Hallie. A Republican candidate for governor is campaigning across North Georgia. Newsource reporter Matthew Davis caught up with Candace Taylor at one of her stops.
Republican primary candidate Candace Taylor is currently on a bus tour around the state and went through Northeast Georgia yesterday, including a stop at Sony's Barbecue in Commerce. She visited 10 cities yesterday, stopping at parking lots, talking to whoever was there and whoever wanted to see her.
I want to hear from the people. If I don't know what they want in a governor, how can I be that for them?
The heavy rain didn't stop her travel, but put a slight damper on the events as it got later in the day. The rain began to ramp up and deter turnout. According to Quinnipiac University's Georgia's Governor's Poll, Taylor is fourth in the Republican primary poll behind leader and current Governor Brian Kemp, former Senator David Perdue, and Vernon Jones.
We found out that I wasn't included in any of the polls at all. The 3 and 4% came from people organically saying my name.
Candace highlights the opioid crisis as one area she wants to advocate for change, as well as mental health, stating that Georgia needs a voice for veterans' mental health.
Well, I got into it because I'm tired of establishment politicians not representing me and only caring about backroom deals and big corporations and whatever lines their pocket.
Matthew Davis, Grady Newsource.
The Athens-Clarke County government is conducting a study to analyze the disparity in purchasing and contracting with minority and women-owned businesses in Athens. The city selected MGT Consulting Group to conduct the study. The study will include qualitative data research to identify successes and barriers that impact the business's ability to receive contracts or subcontracts. MGT is the largest solutions provider in the country and has conducted more than 230 studies nationwide. As a part of community outreach, MGT will host a virtual community engagement meeting for businesses on Thursday, April 14th. Last night, the Athens-Clarke County Commission approved an agreement for UGA students to ride Athens Transit for free until 2023. Grady Newsource reporter Cole Aycock tells us more about this agreement.
This bus stop sits 10 minutes from the campus of the University of Georgia. For UGA students like Grace and Moore who don't have a parking pass on campus, Athens Transit is their only way to and from classes. And thanks to a contract agreement between Athens Transit and UGA, Moore will be able to continue to ride Athens Transit fare-free with presentation of his scannable UGA ID.
You know, being a broke college kid, you don't really have the money to afford year-long parking passes or to afford on-campus parking. So to hear that, you know, I can go to and from campus using the UGA ID is really awesome.
This agreement not only looks to help UGA students, but also looks to help the Athens community as a whole. Under this new contract, Athens Transit and UGA Transit will create a joint route along Prince Avenue and North Avenue. Interim Director of Transit, Patricia Barnett Hale, says that this joint route will provide service for more people.
Is that it's service for everybody. There'll be service on North Avenue side, which means there'll be more frequency on North Avenue, and there'll be service on Prince Avenue.
Despite this agreement, Hale still has aspirations for Athens Transit to grow more countywide.
I rode transit. I used it to get to work. My kids used to go to work. So I just can't believe that we're not totally countywide by now. You know, I want to see transit everywhere.
This new agreement is scheduled to run until June 30th of 2023. For more information on the agreement and bus routes, visit the Athens-Clarke County website. Cole Aycock, Grady Newsource.
Jackson County recently broke ground on the construction of Legacy Knoll, a new middle school. The school will be located next to Jackson County High School. It will have the capacity for 900 7th and 8th graders. Carol Daniel Construction, who also built Jackson County High School, is overseeing the project. It aims to have completed construction by fall 2023, inaugurating the school on the same date. The Athens-Clarke County Mayor and Commission approved an amendment to the zoning code on Tuesday night. The amendment incentivizes developers of multi-family residential projects to set aside a portion of units for affordable housing.
I am eager to see this implemented. I feel like this is something that, quite honestly, we should have drafted up, 8 or 10 years ago. We lost a lot of opportunity in the student housing boom to get some of this affordable housing.
Incentives include an increase in the number of residents allowed, a reduction in the amount of parking spaces required in the downtown area, and a reduction in required ground floor commercial space. What many consider unpredictable and unfamiliar is second nature when it comes to the work of Barrow County's Sheriff's Department. Grady Newsource reporter Ansley Edwards rode along with a deputy to see what it's like in a day of the life for someone in her line of duty.
Flashing lights, high-speed pursuits, and lots of thinking on your feet is what an average day consists of for a deputy sheriff. Kara Cruz has been in law enforcement for 7 years. Her day starts by responding to an accident. She arrives at the scene and it's off to work assisting the EMTs in any way she can. They are able to free one person entrapped in the vehicle, but the other passenger wasn't so lucky. Although they don't happen often, for Cruz, responding to fatal accidents never gets easier.
We do have them, I would say, maybe a couple times a month, maybe more.
Later in the day, she alerts dispatch that she's available for another call. A stolen iPad means a house call to assess the situation. She assists the victim, fills out a report for stolen property, and is on her way. Cruz says every day comes with new demands, and some days are scary. Still, she remains undeterred.
most people call us on their worst days, like the worst thing that could ever happen to them. And there are some days that I feel really good that I could help someone.
Now more than ever, Cruz believes citizen ride-alongs can be an important educational tool.
That people don't understand what we can and can't do. And I think that fuels a lot of their distrust with the police, that they feel like we're not doing anything about a problem.
Deputy Cruz and the rest of her department encourage citizens to ride along in the future in hopes that it can clear up some common misconceptions about what the department does.
We're not all bad. We're here to help out.
Ansley Edwards, Grady Newsource.
Coming up on Grady Newsource, learn how a student organization helps with food insecurity.
Road laid out for me, leading down to
boxes everywhere, and this is gonna be Addie's room.
I am blind, but I need not see.
I think you're really gonna like it.
I hope this road is there for me.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Waist down by the river. I am blind, but I need not see. I know this love is there for me.
Nice and slow.
If
I got
I'm
this.
free, take me down to the river
Nice.
and wash me.
Okay. What do you think?
What if you could feel in control of your retirement in just a few clicks? At aceyourretirement.org, you can. Start with a free 3-minute chat with Avo, your friendly digital retirement coach. Just answer some simple questions like, how do you feel about your ability to save for retirement? Or in how many years do you want to retire? To get free action items customized just for you, get your retirement back on track at aceyourretirement.org.
A UGA organization is taking on food insecurity in Athens while providing fresh produce to students. Grady Newsource reporter Delaney Tarr has more on the Farmers Market Friends.
They're a little bit harder to get.
Reese McMillan spends his Wednesdays selling produce at the Farm to Campus Market, which he helped create to fight food insecurity.
The goal of the whole project was to essentially bridge a little bit of a gap between UGA students and fresh local produce and make it a little more accessible while also, raising money and awareness for food insecurity in the community.
The market is held on campus where students can buy produce in passing. People like Bryn Atkins frequent the market to get fresh food between classes.
I grew up in Kennesaw going to a local farmer's market with my grandmother every single weekend. That's where we get our produce. So it was kind of nice to find somewhere in Athens that reminded me of that.
McMillan aims to make the market accessible for students like Atkins by offering produce at wholesale rates and accepting paw points. But the Farm to Campus Market goes beyond the university.
The market aims for accessible produce like these mushrooms through programs like FarmRx, where they donate all their proceeds.
So FarmRx allows doctors in the Athens area and other healthcare providers to prescribe food vouchers to people with diet-related illnesses or chronic nutritional deficiencies.
The voucher can be redeemed at the farmers market for 6 months or until their symptoms improve. So far, Farm to Campus has raised over $5,000. Enough to feed about 27 people for 6 months each. McMillan says they haven't gotten to see the impacts in person, but he hopes that will change.
Right now it does just seem like numbers, but we know that on the other end of that there is a person that is actually receiving these benefits and getting a better life out of it.
Delaney Tarr, Grady Newsource.
Supply chain shortages continue to persist in states like Georgia. WHO ranks first in the country for logistics and infrastructure and accounts for 85% of the world's third-party logistics, which helps with outsourcing distribution. Large businesses have been able to keep up with the increase in distribution costs, But small businesses and their customers haven't been so lucky.
Supply shortages have affected local businesses especially. You know, they don't have the balance sheet as these big box stores have to get through economic hardships. The best thing we all could do if we want.
For 175,000 small businesses across the state, the demand for many products make it difficult for small business owners to afford supplies. Since the COVID-19 pandemic hit, many positive changes were brought to the green industry. Grady Newsource reporter Oz Marin tells us how gardening has changed over the last several years.
At the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, lockdowns were put into place, limiting what people can do. However, because of these limitations, people have found solace in outdoor activities, therefore changing the landscape of the green industry. Myrna Garcia found interest in gardening before the pandemic, but it wasn't until lockdown that it became a hobby and a form of therapy.
Like, it helped me definitely just focus on one thing. Like, it was just me and my seeds and trying to grow them. And so for a minute, you're just, you stop thinking about all the terrible things that are happening and the stress that comes with the unknown. And
in a study conducted by the American Society for Horticultural Science, 34% of respondents began gardening because they had more time at home. This led to an 8% increase in revenue for plant and landscaping items such as pots, fertilizers, seeds, and more. UGA Garden has seen vast improvements in their garden as well. The garden has seen a surge in volunteers helping, which has contributed to more food growth.
Like, we got busier actually because there were more food needs in the community due to COVID. Like, there are more people who got, laid off or didn't have jobs, or maybe they had health issues and they were more concerned with getting out, and getting groceries and things like that. There was like more of a need in the community for food, and so we got busier.
Bing says gardening has helped her and the volunteers mentally and knows the work they're doing would be a service to the community and themselves. Oz Marin, Grady Newsource.
Coming up, the 5-day weather forecast with Danielle Burrows and potential severe weather for Northeast Georgia.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually, once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers, he connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
And now, the weather.
Good evening. I'm Danielle Burrows with your Northeast Georgia weather. Things are steaming up after yesterday's thunderstorms. In fact, you may have encountered some fog on your commute this morning. It was a cloudy and humid day today with moderate temperatures, scattered showers, and a high of 77 degrees. Unfortunately, the rain will not stop until tomorrow because there's an 80% chance of thunderstorms tonight. Storms may be severe, which means it is a good day to be up to date and aware of weather hazards. As we move into the rest of the week, sunny skies are on the horizon, but it's not time to ditch your umbrellas just yet. We will most likely see showers Thursday afternoon, but there will be clear skies and a high of 68 degrees for the rest of the day. Just in time for you to head to the Battery for the Braves opening day. Going into the weekend, Friday and Saturday will bring cooler temperatures in the lower 60s and upper 50s. But by Sunday, temperatures will heat back up with a high of 68 degrees. This will be a great time to get outside and garden or even write a poem for National Poetry Month. This has been your Northeast Georgia weather forecast. For Grady Newsource, I'm Danielle Burrows.
When we come back, the end of March Madness. That and more after the break.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Greg, come on man, let's split a ride home.
Part-time job, full-time hustle, all-time hero to all of us. You nurture, we listen. You teach, we thrive. You lift our spirits, but we've got to lay down the truth. It's time for you, our Shiro, to stretch for the stars. A free online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Start saving more for retirement so you can feel prepared and live your life to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
And now, sports.
I'm Madison Cook, and this is Grady Newsource Sports. March Madness came to an end on Monday evening with a win for the Kansas Jayhawks against the North Carolina Tar Heels with a final score of 72-69. Before halftime, the Tar Heels were in the lead, but the Jayhawks came back with fire to score 47 more points after halftime, which put them in the lead just in time to win it all. Big news for golf fans. Tiger Woods confirmed he will play the Masters, and he claims that he can win his 6th Masters and secure another green jacket. Tee-off starts tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. and will continue until Sunday. You can keep up with tee times and scores on the Masters website. Swinging on into baseball, the Dogs lost 4-3 to Clemson in an away game last night. UGA Baseball's next game will be this Friday at 7 in Columbia, South Carolina, against the South Carolina Gamecocks. Let's hit some home runs, Dogs, and bring home another win. This has been your Grady Newsource Sports. I'm Madison Cook.
Coming up is National Poetry Month. Find out how Athens Clarke County is celebrating.
When I was 10, my mom got deported. We had a difficult time, and I feel that's why I didn't get to finish school.
Jessica has been through a lot in her life from early childhood.
My husband is really supportive in a way that he pushed me to go back to school.
She came in looking to complete her diploma. She had a family she had to take care of. Anytime she needed help, we provided her help. She realized that we were here for her.
She wants to have a career so her kids could look up to her.
My graduation, it was something I will never forget. I couldn't explain the emotion I was feeling because people like you and me sometimes may have doubts in yourself, but I feel that everything's possible.
Jessica's future is brighter than ever.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Athens Clark County is celebrating National Poetry Month. Grady Newsource reporter Abby Buston sat down with Athens' first poet laureate to see how everyone can get involved.
Jeff Bayless is sorting through poetry for April's National Poetry Month. Bayless is Athens' first poet laureate, and he is excited to share his and others' poetry this month.
That kind of ability to think kind of in terms of imagery or metaphor or see the connections between things and sort of play with words that I think is kind of innate in people.
From poem window displays in downtown Athens storefronts to Bayless's poems delivered right to your mailbox, the city is celebrating in multiple ways. One of the biggest, perhaps, will be this Sunday. Bayless, along with the ACC Library, are hosting his first poetry reading where he will read select poems and share his vision for his new role.
That I'm hoping to make poetry seem, again, less abstract and more connected to people's kind of everyday, and that's one of the big things I want to do kind of in this position.
However, public art coordinator Tatiana Vinrusso says poetry's value goes beyond just these events.
It gives us a sense of identity and a sense of self-expression. You know, that's always kind of it's just as important as the necessities, really, to have those outlets.
So this is called Over Wilkerson Street, again, in Athens. Half of me wants to throw myself back down to the pavement and shatter my skull like a star or an egg. Half of me wants to keep ascending into the blue sprawl and live there forever, like a transmutated doo-wop singer with a slit throat and missing arm. Instead, to be unable to speak, absolutely in love with something I cannot name, so alive the unbreathable air around me is a clean white suit.
Abby Buston, Grady Newsource.
I'm Brianna Smith, and from all of us here at Grady Newsource, thank you for watching. Have a great night.
Grady Newsource is a student production of the Grady College of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of Georgia, which is solely responsible for its contents. Views expressed do not represent those of the administration nor the Board of Regents at the University System of Georgia.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Is